Hello and welcome to a new video here on my channel at commaikEnglish. The Lymow One, the robotic lawnmower you see behind me, is a very special piece of equipment. A floating mowing deck with two mulching blades guarantees a cutting width of 40 centimeters. The crawler drive ensures that this machine can handle slopes of up to 45 degrees, and the 15 amp hour battery ensures that up to 7,000 square meters of mowing performance per day are possible. So you can tell this is really a beast. It's got serious power. Is that overkill for my lawn area here? That's what I'm going to find out in this video, and I'll also let it run on a really large lawn to see if it can actually deliver that kind of performance. In addition, I'll show you in the video how to install the device, what features the app has, and how to set it up in the first place. If you're interested in all that, then definitely stay tuned, because that's exactly what this video is about. The Lymow One is a modern, next-generation robotic mower developed for large and complex lawns. Its navigation system combines highly precise RTK with V-SLAM technology. This allows the robot to operate without boundary wires and to map areas up to 1 kilometer around the RTK reference station with precision. Up to 80 different zones can be set up in the app, including no-go areas and connecting paths between the zones. For propulsion, the Lymow One uses a tracked chassis. This enables it to handle slopes of up to 45 degrees or 100%, and to climb obstacles up to 5 centimeters high. Its driving speed, depending on the setting, ranges between 0.3 and 1 meter per second. The cutting performance is based on a dual blade system with rotating mulching blades. The cutting width is 40 centimeters. The cutting height can be flexibly adjusted between 3 and 10 centimeters with a rotational speed of up to 6,000 revolutions per minute. The system ensures a clean cut and even mulch distribution. Inside, a durable LiFePO4 battery operates with 15 ampere hours at 35 volts. This corresponds to a capacity of around 528 watt hours. One battery charge is enough for up to 2,300 square meters. In a single day, the Lymow One can even mow up to 7,000 square meters. The battery is charged in just 90 minutes from 10 to 90% using the fast charger. The lifespan is around 2,500 charging cycles. The Lymow One also impresses when it comes to safety. It is protected against water according to IPX6, features lift and tilt sensors, an instant blade stop, and an emergency stop button. Additionally, it offers GPS-protected theft protection with virtual fences and a lock function in the app. The robot is controlled via the Lymow One app for iOS and Android. There you can create maps, set schedules, choose patterns and mowing paths, as well as activate anti-theft functions. In addition to Wi-Fi, the device also supports Bluetooth and 4G for reliable connectivity. The Lymow One thus combines precise navigation, powerful performance, and maximum safety, setting new standards for wireless robotic mowers. So let's take a look together at what's inside the box and what all comes with the robot. At this point, an important note. If you're transporting this box, you'll need at least 2 people or a hand truck. The robot weighs an impressive 35 kilograms. Regarding the physical specifications, the entire package is officially listed with a total weight of 53 kilograms. Furthermore, the packaging itself looks to be exceptionally neat and well organized. Very sturdy, very classy, and right on the top I have a first aid card. If I have any problems, I can contact Lymow directly and request assistance. Along with that, there's a manual in German, English and French, so in several languages, where it's described in detail what the first steps are and what I need to do. So let's see what's underneath. Under the cover, there it is, the Lymow One robotic mower, along with the charging station. I can tell you, this thing looks absolutely awesome, but it's heavy, it's really solid, 35 kilos. This should last quite a while. This is not some cheap plastic. The robot is really solid. What else is included? I have the poles, the mount for the RTK system. The RTK antenna can be inserted into the ground with this ground spike. So basically anywhere it's needed, wherever you need it. There's also a 10-meter extension cable included, or you can even mount the antenna directly on the house wall. I've never seen that with any other robot before, that for the wall, the set is included and doesn't have to be purchased separately. Before I set up the charging station now, charge the robot and install the app, or rather register the robot in the app. And one more very important thing to note, this robot is actually equipped with a battery that is completely removable. It has a battery that you can take out, you can remove this cover on the back. Now, looking inside, what we're dealing with is an incredibly massive and heavy battery. To put that into perspective, this single unit has a capacity of 528 watt-hours, which is a huge amount of power for a portable device. Or more precisely, 492 actually usable watt-hours. You can really tell it's not meant for small garden areas, it's really designed for large areas. You have the ability to swap out this battery, and then you can easily install the replacement. Very important, before using it for the first time, you have to connect the plug from the lawn robot to the battery. Connect them together, just push them in until they click into place. Put the battery back in and put the cover on. Done. My first impression is already very, very positive. The thing feels solid, looks well made, and I'm really excited to see how it works when I get it running. Now, first up is the charging station, and then we'll set the device up in the app. The charging station is set up where it's supposed to be. I secured it with the foreground anchors. I connected the power cable to the station. By the way, this charging station has an on-off switch on the back. I turned it on and now you can see this green light glowing. The charging station is in operation. I installed the RTK antenna on the other side of the lawn, specifically where up on my wooden shelf, so the antenna doesn't have a direct connection to the charging station. The RTK antenna is screwed into the pipe. This only works in a specific position. The cable is routed inside the pipe. Here, I've temporarily laid it a bit around the outside. I'll tidy that up later, but in any case, you need to make sure that the RTK antenna has an unobstructed view of the sky above. The satellite signals need to be received cleanly. Ideally, the antenna should also have as wide a line of sight as possible to the lawn area you want to mow. The robot is definitely capable of operating even without this RTK signal. According to the manufacturer, 150 meters should be no problem. Manual. However, the more visibility there is, the better. The robot primarily navigates with centimeter level precision using this RTK satellite signal. Whenever it loses this signal, because the view is blocked, it navigates solely using the other sensors such as the camera or the ultrasonic sensor, for example. Ideally, of course, all sensors are used in combination with the RTK antenna. This way, you can really mow the entire lawn with centimeter level precision. To set up the robot in the app, I first need to turn it on, of course. To do this, I press the power button for at least 3 seconds until I hear a signal and the robot starts up accordingly. The app then needs, by the way, for setting up the robot or for software updates, you should definitely download it. The links to the App Store and also to the Play Store can be found below the video. There, I've linked the Lymow app for you in the video description. Let's continue with the installation. Basically, the Lymow One also works without an internet connection. However, many functions will then be missing, including updates. By the way, it's enough if the Wi-Fi connection is only available at the charging station. The robot does not need to be connected to it all the time. Bluetooth should be enabled on your phone to establish the Wi-Fi connection. The robot automatically scans all available networks, and now you just need to select your Wi-Fi and enter the Wi-Fi password. To link the RTK antenna with your robot, you simply need to scan the QR code on the underside of the antenna using the app. Lymow recommends, however, that you perform this step last, since the software updates should be carried out first. I have successfully paired the robot with my app and can now control it via the app entirely. I can set up schedules, adjust the mowing settings, and many other things that actually only work through the app. But before I can do all that, I first have to teach the robot about the property. I need to map it. I have a total of 3 zones at my place, which I will now set up one after the other. First, the first zone here. After that, the robot has to drive across the walkway and map 2 more zones over there on the other side. The zones are created one by one, step by step, and then connected to each other via paths. The paths that the robot learns here are the ones it will use later on. You can therefore connect multiple zones with each other. The lawn areas don't have to be created as one single piece. In my opinion, the app is very clearly laid out. It is entirely in English and so far not available in any other language. On the home page, you see your Lymow One, the current weather, and the battery status. At the top right, you have the icons for current connectivity and the settings, which are hidden under the gear icon. In my opinion, all the settings are organized in such a way, largely self-explanatory. If you want to know more details about this, just leave me a comment. Under the video, and I will make an additional video about it. In this video, I mainly want to focus on the map settings. Under View Map, you can open the map, and here you have the option to view and also edit your zones. I select the pencil on the side and can edit my 3 created zones individually. In order to edit it, I need to briefly select the corresponding zone, and on the right, the option to configure the zone is displayed, meaning you can adjust it or fine-tune the corners and edges. Again, I drove along my edges with a slight overlap and programmed the robot so that it uses the preset driving route exactly. This has the advantage that I can actually mow everything right up to the edges. I go into the configuration, and here you can see everything I can set. First comes the cutting height, which is preset to 4.5 centimeters. The whole thing can be set to an impressive 9.5 centimeters or 3 centimeters. In addition, you can set how fast you want the 2 rotor blades to spin. Here, a maximum of 5,000 revolutions per minute is possible. But keep in mind that at this high speed, the robot also gets very loud. Regarding the robot's speed, I have to say, 0.5 meter per second is still quite comfortable. The maximum of 1 meter per second is incredibly fast. In the next section, you set how the mowing pattern should look. Ideally, the robot shouldn't have to turn very often and should drive many long straight stretches. So using the angle point, you can determine what the mowing pattern should be. To do this, simply move the slider back and forth until you get as a rectangular pattern as possible for your lawn. The overlap of the 2 driving directions, I have set it to the maximum of 35 centimeters, but I can reduce the distance further down to 25 centimeters. In that case, the robot would take longer, but it would mow much more effectively and precisely. Under Mowing Order, you set the sequence. Here, I can specify whether the robot should first mow the entire lawn area, that is, main area first, or whether it should first mow the edge, the perimeter first, and only then the main area. That's up to you, depending on what you prefer. The next setting is something quite special. I have modified the robot so that it mulches the grass and throws the clippings out to the left and right through both openings. But that also means that the clippings on the side may be thrown onto walkways or my terrace. Here, I can now set that the outermost blade disc remains inactive. This means that the clippings are always only thrown inward but not outward onto the edges or my terrace. This makes sense. If you don't want the clippings on your paths, in the next step, you determine the pattern in which the robot should mow. Zigzag, I think, is self-explanatory. That's the well-known zigzag pattern. With the checkerboard option, you have the possibility for the robot to go once lengthwise and once crosswise, leaving behind that typical checkerboard pattern. And with perimeter, with laps only, you set the robot to only drive along the edge. I prefer the checkerboard pattern. In my opinion, that looks the nicest. And in the next step, I can also directly set how the offset should be. With a checkerboard pattern, it obviously makes sense to set the angle to 90 degrees. In the obstacle detection mode, you determine how the robot should handle objects at the edge or on the lawn. The robot has 2 built-in cameras, additional sensors, and also bumpers at the front on the bumper bar. Here you can now decide whether the robot should respond to obstacles intelligently with all functions to avoid them, or if it should only react upon contact. In the no-go zone mowing laps setting, you determine how many times the robot should drive around a no-go zone. Since I haven't needed such a zone so far, I've set this to 0. However, it makes sense to have the robot go around this zone at least once, maybe even twice. The same applies, of course, to the regular edges of the lawn. Here, I've set it so that the robot should go around the edges twice. This way, I can make sure that really all blades of grass at the edge are cut, and the battery, the robot's power, is large enough to handle this in a single pass. The last point determines how precisely the robot should cut the edges. Here, you can specify that the precise edge mode is used. That's the route you originally mapped out. Or you can use the other option, where the robot tries to detect the edge using its sensors to automatically navigate along the edge. This option is gentler on objects lying there and also prevents the robot from bumping into or scratching itself, but it's also not as precise because some parts of the grass will definitely be left standing. In my case, the space is sufficient for the robot to drive beyond the edge. That's why I choose exactly the route I previously mapped out. You can set this option individually and separately for each of your zones. And after the robot has now optimally mowed the lawn here on my property, the next big test is coming up. I'm taking you with me to a large field, to a big area, to test the overall performance of this monster. The Lymow One has been mowing this meadow for 64 minutes. So far, I've completed 35% of a total of 2,073 square meters. The battery charge is still at 18%. I've turned off all energy-saving options. What you can see very clearly, the robot is truly brutal. The molehills were simply flattened, but that's also because I have all the safety features turned off for this test. Don't worry, there are no moles here anymore. We chased them away beforehand, but you can really see how the robot just flattens everything. And at this point you can probably hear it too. 5,000 revolutions, the robot is quite loud. On my property I ran the 2 cutting blades at 3,000 revolutions. That's much quieter, almost like a regular robotic mower. Here, however, speed is what matters, so 5,000 revolutions are definitely appropriate. The large leaves that you see here, looks like horseradish by the way, he doesn't actually flatten those. He just drives over them. The leaves are simply too big. You can see here they just get cut a little, but not completely mowed. But that's fine. Once there's an initial cut on the area to let the robot run, that's enough. As well, nothing will grow back because the robot keeps cutting it down continuously. I'll let it run for a while longer now. There are still these large areas over here that need to be mowed, need to be done. The area back there and also this side here still need to be taken care of. And yes, at the end of the day, I think the effective mowing time for over 2,000 square meters will end up being about 3.5 to 4 hours, with 1 battery recharge in between. So 7,000 square meters is possible. I've now had the chance to test the Lymow One for quite a while, and it's time for a conclusion. What can I share with you? What can I tell you about the robot? Well, the performance this little beast delivers is absolutely overwhelming. 1 meter per second, you can barely keep up with it. 7,000 square meters a day is also an enormous achievement. The cutting height is just right. What I especially like is that it actually cuts the corners and edges precisely. Just as I taught it, it mows the edges cleanly. The other robots couldn't manage that. The ESOP crawler drive ensures that it can always move forward, even on rough terrain. Even though I couldn't test a 45-degree slope here, I absolutely believe this beast could handle it. But there are downsides too. The robot is heavy, it's powerful, and in my opinion, it's not necessarily suitable for a small ornamental garden, but really for large areas. If you have large lawns that you just want to keep short without having to mow several times a week, then this mower is absolutely the right choice for you. The robot reliably does its job. It always finds its way back to the station and recharges automatically. It's simply a workhorse that really wants to get the job done. That's my opinion. About the robot, I can only repeat myself here. Yes, I can recommend the robot to anyone who has large lawns and grassy areas, but that's just my opinion. What do you think? Give me some feedback. What do you think of this monster? How do you like the design? What do you think of the performance? What other possible uses do you see for it? Let me know by simply leaving a comment under the video. I would really appreciate that. By the way, if you want to know where you can buy the Lymow One, since it has just launched on the market, then take a look under the video in the description. There I'll link you to the manufacturer's website with the product links and additional accessories. And of course, I would be absolutely thrilled if you give my video a like and of course subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any new videos. With that, thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to the next video with you. Take care. Bye.